What is up, my fellow Exandrians? Welcome back to Table Ready and the Critical Review, where I, Noah, rate and review the episodes of Critical Role Campaign 3. Now, all of my ratings and reviews should be taken with the same amount of seriousness as a critique on food from FCG. Today we're going to do a couple of things. Now, because of this, I've been kind of held up and had a difficult time editing, so everything's going to be edited very simply, and I hope that's okay until this gets better. But first things first, let's talk about this moment at Four-Sided Dive.
I want an Esther Ross story. I want to see that moment when he's standing his ground in his house.
Honestly, I love Esther Ross, and there's a whole bunch about his backstory that never really came up, and I hope to talk about it at the end of this campaign. But he's prequel. Yeah, he's got a
Yes.
sort
Oh my
of
God,
history.
can you imagine?
Yes, Orc Daddy Esters is absolutely the best NPC in the game. He's the greatest. There's not even a close second. I mean, and I've been calling him
Orc Daddy!
Oh, Orc Daddy. I didn't mean to make Orc Daddy, but I'm here for it.
and I love that we got this call out. And Laura's right, 100%. I even said in this video that we should definitely 100% have seen Estros' last stand. Have a one-shot of evil characters for a different party to play, with Estros' end being basically the same. I thought that was a huge missed opportunity and would have made for a really great storyline. I do think that if they get the opportunity to eventually make this into an animated series, that will be a scene that happens, or at least you'll see Estros make his last stand and then they'll cut to black. Now, because I had just had surgery, I decided not to do anything on the Mighty Nine reunion, but in short, I would give it about an 8 out of 10, and I would say that Matt Mercer is by far the best one-shot DM that's been on the channel, and I think actually has been the best one-shot DM that we've seen on TV in recent history. I won't go too deep into it, but there are a couple reasons why. One, he gets to the point. Matt doesn't spend a lot of time with frivolous roleplay. In a one-shot, two-shot kind of game, you need to get to the points, and it's less about the characters than it is the story, so get to the point. Two, he's organized. He doesn't have to spend a lot of time thinking about what's next or improvising, because that's not what one-shots or two-shots are about. It's not about improvisation as much as it is about taking the characters through an adventure that you have set up that will reach a conclusion that is concise. Third, be concise and unambiguous. When you are doing one of these short and condensed campaigns or adventures, you need to not leave so much room for interpretation for the party. Don't have them look to the stars or have no leads to the thing that they're looking for. You need to place it in front of them like this is a Scooby-Doo episode on where they need to go next. That way the party can move from point A to point B to point C, and their creativity comes from overcoming the obstacles, not finding them. Now, I could go on about this for days, and I probably will at some point, but I think that's better for the second channel that I'm starting, and that's all going to be about player tips, DIY DM, things like that. I was thinking about doing it on this channel, but to be honest, it's not a good fit, and the algorithm hates it when I post anything but Critical Role content. So be on the lookout for channel number 2 from Table Ready, and make sure to hit subscribe on this channel if you're interested in more content like this. Moving on from the one-shots to episode 41, it was combat. And a lot of it. And as much as I enjoy playing in combat scenarios, watching them to me is kind of boring. There's not a lot new until the characters level up, and when it's a low stakes combat encounter, you kind of know that Matt's not going to kill the party or anyone in it. Chetney basically goes into a trial where he wolfs out to prove himself to the Gorgine, and the rest of the party has to tame him by convincing him and beating the hell out of him to stop. But that doesn't mean it wasn't entertaining. It was cool watching Chetney go all ham on everyone and watching the party kind of band together to help him. Chetney gets some Blood Hunter buffs, Orem gets a new sword buff, and the party makes it out fine and then ends up leveling up. On to episode 42, and I want to start with this moment here.
I feel pretty terrible that I flipped a coin for your lives. I'm sorry. I didn't want to make the decision myself, and then it felt so flippant and terrible.
Ashley says it was random, but when she flipped that coin, she didn't let anybody see the result. She also is much closer to Orem than she, well, was to Laudna, but Fern's also a compulsive liar. So do you think that she's telling the truth here? Moving forward, the party goes on to just kind of flex their new level 8 abilities and skills, which is cool, but I've had mixed feelings about it. They're pretty much showing off their combat prowess in downtime, but because combat is already kind of boring for me, some of the exciting moments is when the party flexes in the game, in combat, when it matters and you see them do a new ability. That being said, I also appreciate that they took this moment to kind of show off that they're finding these new skills outside of just being able to do them in combat on the random without anybody knowing about it. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10 because I really don't know how to feel about it, and I guess it's fine. But during this moment, I will give an 8 out of 10 to Matt and Marisha and Fern for this little moment that they had.
All right, okay, oh my God, I'm so nervous, all right. Don't look at me, look at me, but don't, no, look at me, I need to.
And as you separate them slightly, all those little tips of glow go fit into one small little bead, and you blow it, and it just kind of drifts like a fast-moving mote on the wind.
Oh, it's tiny.
Over towards you, Fern.
Oh.
An explosion of flame completely engulfs both him and Fern in a 20-foot radius.
I just thought it was hilarious that the first time she tried to fireball, she destroys an entire section of forest and hurts her friends. I feel like that's actually how new magic would work.
You should really name your sword.
I did. Oh. I did, yeah. Uther told me he had like a really badass weapon with a scary name about taking people's jaws off. I didn't feel like that was right for me. And, you know, the sword already has sentimental value. It was from Will. And I'm never gonna let go of it. So I tried to think, like, you know, what is something that speaks to Will and speaks to me and speaks to the blessing she gave. Anyway, this is Seedling. The Wayward Pilgrim. Pretty cool, huh?
Dude, perfect. Like, you got me jacked up. I love that your sword's name isn't something like Swift End or, you know, Craven Edge or something that's like super barbaric or like slick and stabby and killy and death and all that stuff. It really fits your character. It fits like the humble, sweet, small adventurer who's just looking to serve. Yeah. 9 out of 10. The party takes off from the forest, finally makes it to Eos, where they basically spend the rest of their time in downtime at casinos. And this led to some funny moments. First is that FCG does not understand gold.
I'm gonna take my other 25 in chips and sort of hold it in my hand. Changebringer, what should I do? And I'm gonna cast divination.
As you feel the coins kind of evaporate in your grasp.
They're the component? Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. I don't know.
Second is that these people are lucky they didn't get kicked out of the casino when pretty much everyone wins at the table, with most people hitting.
That's 21.
No, 21.
21.
Oh! What the hell?
This will be the end of the streak.
All right.
This will be the end of it. Here we go. Just 21, Jesus.
A lot of this ends up just being like fun roleplay, and I think that's the kind of downtime that serves Critical Role as an entertainment platform. In my game, we have like a lot of role players, but we also have a lot of people who are nuts and bolts. Let's hit things, swing axes, and loot. This kind of downtime might work for half the amount of time, but then the rest would kind of have to be expedited in a normal home game to kind of serve those players who don't care so much about roleplay. Next, I want to talk about this moment with Pate.
We really care about her, and it's important to keep her safe. And
I'll agree.
Yeah, and I know you're gonna be a lot of help there.
Yeah, all costs. Gotta keep her safe, keep her alive, keep her kicking.
Yeah, and
she goes, I go.
Man, the she goes, I go thing. I thought I heard someone say that. I think it was Delilah was talking about that with Laudna. And now Pate is saying it also about Laudna. I would say that sounds familiar. Gotta sharpen up the dad jokes before baby gets here. And finally, we have this moment where Imogen continues to try to reach out to her mother and continues to get similar responses. We don't get a lot from Imogen's mom, but what we do get is that she's not in Eos and she wants Imogen to stay there. It seems as though Imogen's mom has a dead set belief that if they were to connect, Imogen would be lost to this flux of power. For this slew of episodes, I'm going to give it 2 ratings. 1 for the viewer and 1 for the players. For the viewers, I would give these episodes a 6 out of 10. They were fine, but honestly, you could skip them and not miss much of anything. But for the players, I would give it a 9 out of 10 because they said that they enjoyed it so much. The crew of Critical Role enjoyed these last couple of episodes more than they've enjoyed Critical Role in a long time. So for me, that's a big section of what Dungeons & Dragons is about, and that should be the example that Matt's putting out there, that your players having a good time sometimes is just more important than the story. Before I leave you with the outro to episode 42, please make a mage hand out of that like button. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, and yeah, leave something in the comments if you don't mind. I love talking to you guys.
Climbing up the stairs, midday sun coming out. There's a sound that pierces the air.
Oh no.
What?
I'm gonna glance up, and there's like these gargoyle type creatures that are built up on the side front of the building, but they're perched up. In the back of the shadow, you see some sort of avian creature that begins to curve its head out of the shadow. You see this long, hooked, kind of somewhat scar-gnarled beak, this kind of cloudy eye, patches of missing feather.
Right now. You know what's wrong.
This is not.
It immediately trains in on you.
Why do you?
You gotta
inside
be
right now. No! Wow!
And that's where we're gonna end.